Ladies and gentlemen, in the dynamic landscape of Malaysian finance, a transformative wave is underway as AI and machine learning take center stage. Consumers are eagerly embracing this advancement for swiftest, more secure and streamlined banking services. Spearheading this change is Credit Bureau Malaysia, a trailblazing organization set to revolutionize their credit reporting through AI technologies. And at the heart of Malaysia's economic prowess are its small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, contributing over 38% of the GDP, recognizing their pivotal role. The country's banking sector is harnessing the power of AI-driven analytics to supercharge services, fuel innovation, and open new vistas of opportunities for SMEs. So now here, we would like you to join us for an enlightening session that delves into the future of finance in Malaysia. Explore how AI is reshaping credit reporting, empowering SMEs, and propelling the nation's economy to a greater height. So in this session, we would like to welcome our moderator, Mr. Katie Tan, Vice President of Cloud Business at Time.com, together with our panelists, Mr. Leong Choong, Chief Executive Officer of Credit Bureau Malaysia, CBM, and Mr. KJ Balan, Head of SME Banking at CIMB, to collectively share their pertinent views on smart finance, unraveling AI's role in credit reporting and banking analytics. So right here, over to you, gentlemen, for the wonderful session.
Hello. Yeah, very good morning to everyone. Right, so basically, I was supposed there's a very interesting session this morning. We are talking about AI over AI. Right. So today and just now, Dr. Jaya also they're talking about Time as a company, how they embrace setting up this foundation to embrace AI for the customers. Right. So I was supposed here. My name is Katie. Right. Call me Katie will do. And in the Time perspective, I'm taking care of the cloud business unit. Right. So as these digital foundations and enabler, right, for the AIs, right, to the public. And here, I was supposed we have our panelists here. On the right-hand side is KJ, right? So from CIMB, I let them to introduce themselves. And on the left here is Leong, right, from this Credit Bureau, right? KJ.
Yeah. Very good morning. Glad to be here. Of course, when we went to the site just now, I'm the only one who got plugged in with the AI. Anyway, this is just the mic, right? I head the SME banking in CIMB, and I've been with the bank for about 4.5 years now. Of course, I'm in the banking industry for the last 35 years, so almost 3.5 economic cycle, recessions, crises, end to end. So I think over the last 30 years, the development in the industry, particularly banking, has been profound. In fact, to say it in simple terms, that nothing that we did in the past 20 years matters today. Nothing that we did in the last 10 years matters. What matters, what will happen in the next 5 years. It's always about the future. And you can see the developments of the industry as well as the banking is always about what will happen in the next 5 years in the industry. So all of us in the industry, including the banking, the SMEs, I think we are just preparing ourselves in that direction. And AI is not new. Later, perhaps we can share a little bit more. We have been using it for more than 10, 15 years, and it has just been developing progressively. And probably we tend to think about it more, talk about it more when something like ChatGPT come along, right? Just like if not for COVID, many of us wouldn't have talked about digitization. But when something hits us, we tend to respond faster and be more resilient about it. So that's in background. I think we will share more along the way.
Yeah.
Okay. A very good morning to everybody. And thank you so much for ACCCIM to invite Credit Bureau Malaysia to sponsor this and also to have a chance to have a chat over here. My name is Leong. I've been in Credit Bureau Malaysia for only 6 months. Prior to this, I was actually at Credit Guarantee Corporation, which is a subsidiary of Bank Negara. Why I joined this company was because they said that data is the new goal for Malaysia or for the world. So when I joined CBM, I thought that there will be a lot of gold in Credit Bureau, but actually it's not real gold, but it's data type of gold. Okay, so it's very exciting, this journey that I have in Credit Bureau Malaysia. And just to give a little bit about what Credit Bureau Malaysia does, it is actually one of the 3 credit rating agencies in Malaysia that has actually access to CRIS data. And from this CRIS data, what we do is that we produce some value add into this report to give it to the banks as well as to the SMEs for them to make evaluation on an SME or on the SMEs or even on the individuals. So Credit Bureau Malaysia is currently now a subsidiary of Sunway Holding Berhad, okay, 51% by Sunway, and the balance of the shareholding, 49%, is by Credit Guarantee Corporation, which is still a subsidiary of Bank Negara, right? So we will talk more onto the AI and what does CBM has to offer in terms of AI, right? The other thing I wanted to highlight is that being in the bank and financial industry for so long, SMEs trying to get financing has all the time been one of the major key topics. And this is, I think, something that myself as well as Balan will try to address some of this from the banking landscape as well as from the credit rating landscape. Right? Thanks.
Yeah. So basically, when we are today's topic is about this unleash the potentials by using the AI in the financing industry, in the credit reporting, right? How we use the intelligence to do a better analytics, right? Basically, with this, we can looking at it from a few perspectives. But before that, let's look into this trend, right? So in the past, when we are doing the banking, we need connectivities. That is a digital foundations, right? But along the way, especially come to the convicts, right? We can no longer reaching the customers physically, right? So everybody start to go online. Then there's a further demands on where we want more intelligence to help us to have a better service, faster service, more reliable service, and secure service, right? So driving the experience, driving the optimizations of these operations, and also help to make a informed decision. So in this, I was supposed from this trending, we are looking at credit bureaus. Let's look into these areas where we can see how we can help the SME to achieve the better business sustainability, right? With the profiling that they can present to the banking, access to the facility in the bank, right? So continue their business expansion and continue their survivability of it, right? So first to the Leong first, right? So Leong, what do you think that the upcoming trend that will happen to the SME in this challenging moment in the economy?
Okay. Post-COVID, we do see, or even before COVID, we do see that there is a lot of SMEs who now there's a new term called gig economy, whereby a lot of people do not like to work for employers, they like to work for themselves, and they want to work for at home. A lot of people like to work from home and all that. So when this happens, we realized that a lot of SMEs out there who are not the traditional SMEs have a hard time in getting financing. And as a credit rating agency, our job is to actually provide more data to the banks as well as to the lending organizations to give them more understanding about how these SMEs businesses. Because if you were to look at the traditional way of evaluating these customers just by looking at financials and secrets, a lot of all these gig economies, they may not have all this, especially the young people. So our role in Credit Bureau Malaysia is to actually come out with new data points to actually help the banks to score and rate the customers better. So this is where we go into new types of data to rate these companies and to understand the profile of these SMEs better. So a lot of the data points that we are now getting besides secrets would be trade reference data, right? We'll be getting in sometimes psychometric data. Psychometric data will be able to let us know whether this SME, how is his behavior like, not just in terms of paying, but in terms of entrepreneurship. So there are many other new data points that we are collecting to give a better risk profile onto these customers. And by us using AI, it will actually be able to make more precise, more accurate, as well as faster data understanding of each and every customer. And this is where we will pass it to the banks for them to score this customer.
Yeah. So from there, you can see today, when we are talking about the SME, right, one of the challenges is definitely how they can make their credit profile nicer, right? So for them to be granted better facilities, right? So on the other side is we are seeing that with the SME looking into the funding, especially to do their business expansion and things like that, right? So how CIMB side helping them on this perspective?
So getting from the perspective of how data is being used and how that's benefiting the SME, we all used to know, 10 years ago when you submit a loan application, you have a whole thick ELBA file, the papers after papers that you submit to the bank. And I'm sure many of you can relate today, the probably documents that you submit to the bank is probably the bank statement and financial statement, right? And the only reason for that to happen is because those data are not digitized yet. It's still in the, in a hard copy format. As a matter of time, whether the auditors, the industry can digitize this data, then effectively will come to a time frame where you will not need to submit any documents for the banks to apply for the financing. Now, so the Leong team from Credit Bureau, they aggregate the data, right? When they aggregate the data from the industry sources, what happens when the data is B2B to the bank, who does the analysis of the data? Actually, not human beings at the bank. So you can see that today for a large portion of the role, except maybe for projects and large corporates, majority of the SMEs loan decisions are being run digitally, and this is already AI in practice for the last 10 years. Right? It's digital-based data, decisioning, credit models, and it's overlaid with unstructured data that we get from the credit bureaus. And these are what is being used today at the bank at the back at the engine to make the credit decision. And you might say that how can a machine make a decision? Yes, the machine can make the decision because I think as the previous speaker has highlighted, individually you can make the correct decision, but what kind of volume can you handle, right? But when you convert this art of making credit decision into a science, then the volume of decision that we make in a day is quite significantly different. And in one of my previous jobs, also in the bank, when I went to a bank in Thailand to study, Then we realized, sometime when we need to revamp the entire operation, and they're handling volumes 10 times of what you used to handle, right? So today you can see the loan application probably in a week, 5 days, 3 days, you get an answer. In the past, used to be 15 days, 20 days. And why is that so? It's because the ability to transform the decision-making process into a science, and science is AI at the back. Right? So that's how credit decision has been transformed. Now, but for for businesses, I would strongly encourage, all of you to take this, and again, like COVID, we tend to change and we tend to adapt faster when we are hit, and we are, actually Malaysians, we are quite resilient in that sense. It's just that we need a lot of push. And I can say in terms of digitization for SME, pre-COVID, probably about 5% when we talk about digitizing, when we talk about e-wallet payment, it was very difficult prior to 2019. And with COVID in 2020, 2021, and this is today almost 60-70% of digitization from the point of SMEs. So things that we cannot do in the previous 20 years, we can do in a year or even months during the COVID. That's because we are able to adapt and agile to the changes. So that's how far we have come far, and we are talking in future in matter of a year, 2 years down the road, the decisions for credit decision could be within the day, could be within the hours. Today, you can always, for those who wants smaller loans, immediate loans, it's our online loan platform gives them in 3 minutes. Of course, it's a small amount. The bigger ones will eventually come. So that's how fast things have moved forward, from paper-based to non-paper-based, data-driven, and all this is actually supported by analytics and AI from the back of the bank. And so the industry, the banks have been investing in AI for so long. It's just that we don't talk about it. And now is a big thing because you all hear a lot about it. And it's also changing the consumer behavior in the front. So for businesses, I think when you want to engage your customer, you can actually test your customer behavior. What are their preferences? What you want to offer? All this, just like, earlier was shared, how the customers are being engaged. That actually increases your opportunity to do business, to get more sales from your clients by embracing AI and in your business. So I think it helps the industry, it helps the finances, and I definitely think AI will be the way to go forward and help the SMEs as well.
Maybe, Balan, I just also want to add is that when I was at my previous place and even now here, I noticed that also a lot of customers are quite fearing about giving out too much data to government agencies or giving out a lot of data to banks and all that, because if they give out more, they will know so much about the company. But I think it's also important to highlight, because there are a lot of SMEs here, and from many times I hear is that a lot of customers cannot get financing. A lot of times I hear, they have got issues in getting financing, even though their business model is good and all that, is because the banks actually have all the time wanted to lend out. I think all banks' target is actually lending out money. And in CBM, what we always wanted to do is promote credit positiveness, which means to have a good financial health. There are a lot of people, when you talk about health, they only look at their own personal health. But there's more than personal health. It's your company's health that you actually need to look at. And we also want to look at financial inclusion from a CBM angle, credit bureau. Financial inclusion means that we want everybody to have a chance to be part of the ecosystem of able to borrow money from a legal bank and all that, rather than going to the alongs to borrow money. But able to do that, there's also a little bit of a sacrifice in terms of your data and all that. So we have seen so many times that many good customers, but because they don't share a lot of the data, the banks are not able to lend to them. So we really hope that with new way of looking at data through AI, from the transactions that they do, because of the way they don't share certain data like the profit and loss. many SMEs will always show losses. But if you look at the bank accounts and all that, you actually see that this company is doing very well. Transaction-wise, debits and credits doing very well, but they also post losses. So that is also another way that we can actually find ways to improve and get a chance for more customers to get into the financial inclusion. Like what we always say, there's about 1/million of SMEs in Malaysia, and only contributing to about 38 to 39%. So there's definitely more that the SMEs can do to make this economy better. So, and with the AI coming in, we will definitely be able to explore more data points and to be able to assist the SMEs in getting financing. Right.
So we can see the come to the AI practice in the solutions or offer to the SME, right? So beside the infra, the connectivity, the cloud, whatever necessary is important. But on the other side of it, come to the practicing AI itself, there's a bundle of data created. So with this data, there will be two parts of it, right? One part of it is what Leong said. The owner itself is having a challenge whether how much data I should disclose. On the other side of it, I am not too sure whether will the SME not too sure how to practice, how to apply the data, so that maybe after applying it, then their business get risk exposure, right? So unauthorized this disclosure of the information and things like that. So how the bank side help on this?
So, as far as the bank is concerned, there's always huge investment going into data security, data protection, because it's regulated. And because of the privacy of the data, we have no choice, because as an industry, banking is always very strong on data protection. From the SME point of view, I think, we cannot be scared. We need to invest. Imagine if you don't do it, what will happen, right? Aren't you more worried about that? See, we talk about sustainability today, right? What if you don't take that action? You probably left behind. You might not be able to survive the industry. And exactly like what we had during COVID, if you didn't digitize your business at the point of time, you might not have survived. To me, we are in that state. Just now we talk about what kind of grants, what kind of incentive. Why incentive? The incentive is for you to survive. Right? So you need to invest in it for the business to be able to survive, which otherwise I think you will be at the risk of you losing your edge. I don't know, some of you who have gone to Chatuchak market in Thailand, that Pasar Malam is fully digitized. That Pasar Malam kind of market is fully digitized. People accept cashless payment many years ago. And those traders are just normal traders who are not worried about data. I'm not saying that don't worry about data. That is for you to learn. We must learn new things, and because this is what the trends we are coming. We are in a global, we are dealing with AI. Exactly like, today if you was to search something in Google, purchasing a furniture example, like you're looking for color, you will receive all the data subsequently. These are the options you have. There are people at the back of the engine that looking at your consumer behavior, you as a consumer. So you as a business owner, as a SME, you must also invest in this capacity to understand your clients, how they are behaving, what is their purchasing behavior, what kind of, and that will allow you to customize your campaigns, your pricing, according to the needs of the customer. So I think we cannot run away from AI. We cannot run away from digitizing our business, because I think if we don't, we will be left behind.
Like Balan, just now when you talk about the Pasar Malam being able to digitalize, when they are willing to digitalize, it means that they are willing to give out data. And when we are willing to give out data, this is where the power of AI will come in, to look at the customers' transactions, and from last time able to maybe not able to borrow money from the banks, this particular Pasar Malam owner or seller is now able to actually get financing from the banks and all that. And this is why when we rate them, and that's where the banks will be able to lend to them. So again, the power of data, the power of using AI to unlock, to understand the customer better will actually be better off for everybody as a nation. Why pay 18% or, 2-3% per day rather than going to the banks whereby your loan can be only maybe 10% per annum and all that. And that will actually help the SMEs to save in terms of costs and all that. Right? So I have always been wanting to provide financial inclusion to a lot of the SMEs, especially the smaller SMEs, so that they can actually be at par with the biggest and Berhats when it comes to borrowing money. I think this is something great to me. Yeah.
So do you see the trend of the SMEs come to the credit bureaus to ask for how to beautify their credit profile and drive these facilities taken?
I think understanding your own if a company or an individual has a better understanding of their financial literacy, it will definitely help this SME to grow further in their business. It's like, one good example is that when an SME receives 10,000 ringgit, the SME can either use the money to pay the loan or to buy resources. Last time, they will use the money to roll and not pay for their bank loans and all that. But at the end of the day, when the customer really wants to go far in their business, their secrets doesn't look nice and all that. So in short term, it looks good that they can roll with the money. But in the longer run, the banks, when they see that this customer doesn't pay his loan on time, it tells the behavior of this customer. So honestly, with a lot of data, knowing how to understand what is financial literacy, it'll be good for the customers to be thinking more sustainable, whereby they will pay the loan, at the same time find means to improve on purchasing their resources and all that. So to me, I think a lot of, besides the banks improving on data, coming out with AIs, I do believe the SMEs themselves has to find ways to invest into AIs. This is very important to me.
Yeah, maybe just to add on what Leong mentioned, right? I think I wouldn't do justice as a bank if I don't tell you about financing, right? So again, I think the central bank has allocated a substantial amount of funding under the high-tech and green fund for those technology investment, and also automation and digitization financing, right? Which is at the cost of 4%, right? I think if you want to invest, if you want to, software, hardware, any technology investment that you want to make, that kind of financing is ample, and the take-up is pretty low, right? So there's no issue of there's no available funding. The funding is there. You can approach our team there to talk more about this. But there's no good reason for us not to invest in AI and automation. I think it's probably the only way we will survive. And I think that will probably the pivot that we will see in this the budget and moving forward for the economy. We really need to pivot towards technology-based innovation, value-adding production, and also increase the capacity and more value to our products and services. I think that's the only way we can compete in the regional and also in the global market.
Actually, so, if you don't mind me, actually, Malaysia is actually very blessed in terms of financing and data. If you look at this country, we actually have commercial banks, Islamic banks, developmental financial institutions, P2Ps which are regulated by SC. We have government agencies that gives out loan. We have credit and leasing companies. We have many other companies which are regulated that actually can give out financing. And as a credit rating agencies, we are always about scoring the customers right and all that. So it is actually a country which is rich with a lot of financiers. So when the SMEs wanted to get financing, really It's all about the SMEs themselves taking the extra effort to do what is right, get their track record right, get the books right and all that. And I'm sure there are many means to get financing. That's how I look at Malaysia overall.
Yep. So looking at the timing, so maybe we can do the quick wrap up, right? So KJ, so what is your advice or the key takeaway message for the team?
Don't wait. I think you have to go forward. Don't worry about you lost loss of data, loss of control, because the inevitable drive towards technology, towards AI will come and will be there to stay. I think it's not looking back; it's always looking forward.
Yeah. How about Leong?
I think AI is for the better, even though there's negativity in AI, but to me it's always for the better. And I think it's a matter of the mindset. If you think that it's good for you, it will be good. If you think that it's bad for you, it will be bad. So I think that the positiveness of having AI in your business is definitely better than the negativity side. So it will definitely help you to reduce costs and increase your revenue. I think many times I've seen, if you know your customers better, if you know your suppliers better, if you know everybody better, it's definitely going to be more easier for you to make critical decisions. So this is what, like, even in CBM or even at the banks, it's always about understanding the customers and your suppliers or whoever better. That's what we do.
So to give a summaries from Dr. Jana just now, we are talking about these digital foundations. The 3 C's is just a conduit to deliver the AI's in terms of experience for the users, right? In terms of a task-based, secure task-based touch point to the users, right? So on the other side of it, I will suppose AI is also the key things. People think the use of it to ensure that the credit worthiness, right? To ensure that this facilitating this informed decision making, right? So I would suppose on top, definitely is how we use AI to create more business opportunity besides just the operations optimization itself, right? So echoing this, what KJ and also what Leong said, right? I would suppose we are urging the industries do not be hesitate to engage credit bureau and also the CIMB on these matters to get best advice. At the same time, I would suppose facility is there, right? Then opportunity for you to access to the facility is also there, right? So we don't stop from there and continue to expand your business, right? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, KT. Thank you, KJ. And thank you, Leong, for joining us on stage. Very interesting panel discussions we have here.